This slide, complicated slide, but we'll get to it later. Basically, this slide is now showing you, by and large, the problem going on in the blood flow. These three slides together, 1, 2, and 3, these are looking at the blood flow through microcirculation units. On the one side we have the arterial side, on the other side of each slide we have the venous side, and all the white connecting tracks between there are all the capillary beds. In the very first slide, we're looking at a slide of fluorescently labeled water, plasma, going through there. You see the plasma goes through every pipe, and that's why you see all these lines lit up all across this area between the arterial and venous side of the microcirculation units. That makes sense because fluid, there's no substance to it, just water, will go through every pipe there. In the middle slide in these three slides, we've only radio labeled fluorescently the red blood cells, which have size and mass. They're smaller than white blood cells, but they do have mass, so they can't go through every pipe, they're too big. But they go through most of the pipes. And so what you see lit up in the middle part of the slide is all the pipes the red blood cells can go through. But if you look carefully, you see there are many pipes that the red blood cells cannot go through that water can go through. That's because the red blood cells are bigger than water, and they can only squeeze down certain size pipes. And then you go to the final slide, and this is critical. You see that the white blood cells, because the last slide is only lighting up the white blood cells, and now we see, the white blood cells, because they're bigger, can only go down the center pipes, the thoroughfares, and all the channels outside of the main thoroughfares, the white blood cells cannot go down. So water goes through everything. Red blood cells goes through many things, but not as much as water, and white blood cells only go down through the center pipes. That's good. The white blood cells just have to get to general areas, squeeze out, and go attack something foreign in your body. But here's the problem. If you mess around by hyperstimulating these white blood cells in the body, that they cannot, that they start log jamming up in these center thoroughfare pipes, then in effect they create, in that last slide, all those dark areas are not going to get any oxygen because the red blood cells can't get down past these areas. And that's one of the processes that's leading to causing the sludging and poor blood flow and human disease in response to infections and response to low zeta. And infectious diseases can achieve both. But again, the science differential is important. Locking the white blood cells down in these pipes is important. Changing the blood pressure, back up a flow, no forward flow, and leading to lack of oxygen, strokes, microvessel strokes, human disease. Here we have a neuron. Basically, a neuron is a fancy word we use to say what all the nerves of the brain and nervous system are. And these nervous system cells, the neurons, are what make us do the things we do in our interaction with the world around us. They are electrical, they are chemical, and they have gaps between their various processes that allows information to get transferred from one to another, to allow us to think, act, feel, perceive, process information, and do all the functions our body does that we rely upon a healthy bioterrain or internal environment of our body, of which again 80% of this bag of electrical chemical energy is water. We're not talking about water, so it's the most important part. It's step one to health. This slide here is a sad thing that we will get to in future DVDs relative to this these series, and that unfortunately mild cognitive impairment, the precursor to dementia the Alzheimer's type, with all our baby boomers now coming to age, and we have this large population now being the elderly population. I say that kindly because I'm soon to be older myself, and I don't want to be called elderly at 65, but we have people over 65 years of age. 1 person in 13 now develops dementia, the Alzheimer's type. Those are atrocious numbers for the largest contingent of our society. Over 85 years, it's 1 person in 3 who has Alzheimer's-like dementia. You're losing your thinking and cognition and processing and ability to maintain your activities daily living that allows you to live independently and enjoy life to the quality you've enjoyed it. These are huge numbers. 1 person in 2, if you're male, will develop cancer. 1 person in 3 if you're female. These are atrocious numbers. Western medicine has no solutions. It's almost as if someone just figures, well, after you get past this age, get off this planet. No one's helping us or you. We have answers and we have solutions. And part of the problem for all of you is this aluminum adjuvant that they put in all these influenza vaccines. They get all the elderly population, come and get it. We don't want you to die of pneumonia or influenza this year. Well, unfortunately, aluminum has a coagulating clotting problem, lower zeta. It's got 64 times capacity to do that. And this stuff hangs around your body. This is part of the problem. And these problems also involve clotting and coagulation and coming together from low zeta. Now, just to make the point very clear to you that this is partly known, no one's really known in medicine and physiology exactly what's going on. Putting together the puzzles for this whole beast of the disease for autism, and unfortunately it turns out to be answers for many things, is that what's going on in the physiology and chemistry, we don't know, and we have this piece of information, that piece of information, you just get lost in the maze of trying to figure out what to do and what's important and what's not. Here's an article directly from a neurology journal from 2006. Very clearly, by looking at the urine metabolites in individuals who have autism and autism spectrum, we find the evidence there in these children that there's a problem with the platelets. They're being active. Platelets are involved in clotting, first step in clotting in the blood supply. We find that there's a problem with the endothelium. Well, the endothelium is involved with the lining of inside the blood vessels, and we find there is a problem with oxidative stress, lack of oxygen. Those three things, which we find in these children, this is all symptoms of these types of disorders that we can now see relative to the autism spectrum. So it's known. But what it meant in the global scheme of things, unless you know the cause, you're only looking at the symptoms. We think we have, well, we have cause.